So a lot of people who make Fire Emblem Heroes content are mostly known for one thing. For example, The Shadow is an Inigo simp, and Phoenix Master 1 makes good and high quality content. Well, you could just write me off for liking Ninian, and you wouldn't be wrong. There is one other thing I spend my resources on in Fae. I have every colorless tome in the game. So there are three categories of colorless tomes. There are those who are gods or have been blessed by the gods. Then we have those whose powers go beyond the traditional scope of tomes. And then we have fucking Micaiah. I believe what they're going for was colorless tomes being a type of ancient magic, so Legendary Micaiah technically gets a pass. But they still have Tina, Marianne, Robin, the other Micaiahs, Lysithea, and Triandra. I'm going to go through all 20 colorless tomes and explain why they're good or bad. So I'm going to start with Bramimond, whose release was over 3 years ago. Damn, I've really been playing this game for over 3 years consistently. So Bramimond was the first colorless tome, and is my favorite. They also got the Refine recently, so let's see what it does. So they get attack, defense, and res plus 9, and has 50 or more attack, in which case they also deal extra damage buff or 35 or more defense. Bramimond can also ignores all skills of higher of the opponent's fighting, res as a percentage all the enemy stats by 5, and has damage reduction on the opponent. Or to simplify all of this, if Bramimond initiates combat, the enemy dies. Next, we have Bridal Micaiah, whose entire purpose is to give allies the dominance effect. That's it. Zane is the third colorless tome, and his weapon is the reason why we can see in-combat buffs. Joker's Wild will raise or lower Zane's stats depending on his nearby ally stats. If an enemy Zane is near a 70 attack enemy, Zane becomes a 70 attack enemy. He is one of the few units that does not care how fast units get, he will simply become faster. The fourth colorless tome is Ashura, and she is very good in bonus relying comps with her ability to give everyone null panic and gaining attack based off of allies' bonuses. She is a very solid unit for the Astra season. Legendary Micaiah is just kinda sad. They gave her the perfect amount of speed to get doubled by everything that's not specifically designed to be slow. She also has 38 base HP, which means her 30% damage reduction isn't doing anything that hits her 19 defense. Brave Marianne didn't deserve this. They gave her a special that refreshes allies, which is a really cool concept. Then they proceeded to not give her slaying effect, so she can't proc it consistently, and just to make it worse, she doesn't even have special charge up in her kit. Just why? Winter Lysithea is honestly just worst duo Corrin, who everyone got for free. The only thing going for her is slaying effect, I guess. Why doesn't she have Apocalypse? Valentine's Robin is just way too situational to make full use of. She needs all three other allies to not match movement types, which is honestly just more effort than it's worth. Tina technically has two exclusive colorless tomes. First is Thunderer Tome, which is a really good tome. She constantly procs specials as long as she's not full health. But her second tome is Atlas Plus, for anyone insane enough to not switch her weapon in the Hall of Forms she was just in. And in case you're curious, you can't refine Atlas Plus because Intelligence Systems hates fun. Baby Soren is a really solid player phase unit. He doesn't have quite as many effects as Bramimond, but what he has is still pretty damn good. He can get a guaranteed follow-up attack, he can prevent his enemies from counterattacking, and has damage reduction all off of a res check, and res is his highest stat. Summer Micaiah still has some of the same weaknesses as Legendary Micaiah, but she has a few better qualities. The biggest one is her ability to attack twice, meaning she doesn't just instantly lose to any unit running no follow-up. Ascended Celica is yet another solid player phase unit. I may have 20 colorless tomes, but I only use about 3 of them because they all serve the exact same purpose. Celica can at least survive enemy phase by virtue of having Miracle in her kit. Freeing us from the constant amount of player phase units is Brave Byleth, she can be used on either phase by having 75% damage reduction on her special. She also deals more damage the faster she is, and gives herself no follow-up, so you just have to outspeed her. I like Arvel. They're a fun person. I never finished all the routes in 3 Hopes, so I have no idea what their backstory is, but in Fae, Arvel inflicts guard on the enemies at the start of the turn, and deals 100% of their res's damage using Glacies, which is funny. Duo Asker is by far the tankiest Colorless Tome. While Bramimon might half an enemy's damage, Asker will simply not take any damage in the first place. He has true damage reduction based on his defense, gives allies bonuses that are normally locked to harmonic skills, has drive times pulse 3, and a duo skill that can lower ally special charge even further. So yeah, I think Duo Asker's pretty good. Goto might not be as tanky as Asker, but boy does he come close. He lowers an enemy's attack and resistance by 16, removes all enemy bonuses to attack and resistance, gives himself and allies 80% damage reduction against AoE attacks, takes 80% less damage from consecutive attacks, causes all enemies to attack twice before he attacks, and heals after combat. Can you guys tell which of these units I actually use? Yeah, I don't really care for Summer Alt and Spring, so I'm using my free skip here. So I got 2 left, and I haven't used either of them, so I'm grouping them together. Guinevere is a solid mage killer that should be able to counter Legendary Veronica, and Summer Amir has an HP scaling weapon and Drive Miracle. Now there is one last Colorless Tome, and before I go over it, why not consider subscribing? It's totally free and helps me out a lot. Since this is a small channel, you'll actually be able to see the number change when you subscribe. You should try it. So the last Colorless Tome is you. By that I mean your Summoner, of course. While you can only use them in Mjolnir Strike and Hero's Journey, the Summoner has the coolest Colorless Tome in the game.
For his neutral special, he wields a gun.